very spam heavy in the chat. Hello, chat. Are you guys able to hear him? Just to make sure. I hope everybody's liking the skin and they enjoyed the short story and they're having fun with the challenge. Yeah, I know. It's really cool. I haven't unlocked mine yet because I unfortunately have actually been working today. Like some days I just claim to be working and then I'm actually like playing Overwatch and screwing around. But today I've actually been working, so I have like 9 wins to go before I get my skin. There we go. Now we're gonna hear you way better.
Uh-oh.
Wait, I think we gotta fix that. See if you guys can hear him now. Talk.
Hello.
We good?
Hello.
I was sitting there going, man, it should be working better. Okay, there we go. Okay, he was talking about, he was basically saying he's been working all the time.
Super hard.
Yep, on getting rid of Diva. With the recent
getting rid of Diva. It's
no,
1 second.
No, actually, I was
1 second.
I was telling everybody I believe personally that isn't as bad as people put it out to be because it just requires a little bit more better positional play and like you can't just go in and like feed basically and then get out.
I think where people will feel the Diva changes the most is at very high skill levels. I think at medium to low skill levels, I don't think it will be quite as noticeable. But I think at high skill levels, the 1 second change will be more perceptible to players, and then especially people trying to attack the Diva will start to realize when that window's open. You see it with players right now when they're playing against Roadhog. And they're like, or against Ana, and they're like, sleeps down, or the hook is down. We've got a little bit of a window. And I think what's going to happen is, right now, if you're playing Zarya and there's a Diva against you, you're like shooting Graviton straight into the ground. And maybe you'll be able to get a Graviton, at range.
That's usually how it is now. You basically have to call, like, defense matrix down, but, like, if the person doesn't react instantly, like, if it doesn't react instantly, then, like, we're good. I was making sure. You want me to put my mic near? My mic is near my face. Let's chat. We're good. Sorry, but no, that's how it is. Like you have to counterplay it basically that, so it adds more counterplay to Diva, which is actually really good. Because it doesn't take away from the kit. It's still a strong hero. It's just not as like. Because I know people are now that patch itself was that patch designed to like take away a little bit from the goats that everybody's been upset with.
Yeah, I mean, it's undeniable that goats was part of the focus of that. Goats, for anybody who doesn't know what goats is, it usually refers to a 3 tank, 3 support composition. There's a little bit of variance in it, but it's mostly the same sort of composition, the same heroes. A lot of what we were looking at was. We've always told ourselves Reaper should be a natural counter to a composition like that, and why isn't Reaper played, and how could you get a little bit more Reaper play in? As crazy as people think the Reaper change is, I think they should really get in and play with it and see that in a lot of cases, like we did a lot of play testing last week with it, and it's very counterable. Like there are a lot of counters to Reaper, and it takes a good Reaper player to kind of get going. There are certain matchups which feel really rough if you're on the receiving end, like such as if you're playing Winston and Reaper is coming at you. It's there's a really good chance Reaper's going to win, but it was like that before the change.
It was.
Like it's not like he was going to win anyway.
Well, the problem was that there was goats, so that 3-3. So there was a lot of even when you ran Winston, you usually had the 3-3 comp going with you. So obviously Reaper wasn't that effective. Because the thing about Reaper. And because I always say in theory Mei should be kind of strong too, but like when you have cooldown based heroes, once you burst out their cooldowns, they're still kind of rough. So that's
they're a little vulnerable.
Reaper. So once Reaper uses his shift or like, he's like, well, what do they actually call it? Shadow? What is he?
He has 2.
What's his shift called?
It's confusing because his shift is Wraith form.
Okay, there we go.
And then he has Shadow Step, and we get him confused on the development team. And in fact, at one point we actually had the names the other way around, so
that makes sense.
Kind of a cluster.
So once you get into Pop Wraith form, then he's kind of really vulnerable, and obviously the lifesteal is still really good. But if a team, because it's a team game, focuses him down, then you're going to be able to get the kill on him pretty easily. So, same thing with Mei. Once you force her ice block, she's kind of like she basically is forced a wall if she has it up, otherwise she dies. So same concept. Well, that's cool. I mean, I know people have been wanting the patch. So here's another question. So I know we're getting closer to. Are we getting closer to that one social feature that everybody's been wanting for a while now?
No. Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
So I tried to let everybody know. It's funny because I feel like the more transparent we try to be, the more people think like, oh, that just means that it's like coming even sooner.
Mm-hmm.
We had a recent developer update, like it was like a month or two ago, and I'm like, hey, I just want to let everybody know we're not announcing a map at BlizzCon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we still are working on new maps, but we're not announcing a map at BlizzCon. And then last week, I told everybody, hey, we have a cool little secret. I tried to say it's a little secret because that's what I think of as, you know, the Bastet story and the cool skin and all of that. And everybody's like, well, it's a map for sure. We're definitely getting a map, and we know that. And I'm like, well, I just said you're not getting a map. Yeah. And then everybody said it was a map. So the social feature, we tried to do the same thing where I literally tried to apologize to the community and say, I'm super sorry. We said, you know, we're working on these 3 social features. We delivered 2 of them. The third one ended up being a little bit bigger and a little bit more gnarly than we thought it was going to be from a tech standpoint. Yeah. And we have in no way abandoned it. It's just not coming soon. It's I figured I'd get that one out of the way anyway, you know, because obviously it's a good opportunity to get some of those little things out of there.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I know when you said the secret thing on the forums, and I was like, oh, I know what that is, and I can't say anything though, so I was like, oh, I feel bad. So
I thought it was a cool surprise though. People have been like begging for lore. You know, they really want lore, and we were excited. It was a first. Like we had never done a short story before, and this is like a true short story. And you know, one of our worries is, you know, we know people are used to consuming comics and animated shorts, and those are really brief. And the short story, you know, they can be pretty long. But we wanted to give something really significant, and I think Michael did a great job. We spent a lot of time, you know, going over the story, and we were really excited. And then to combo it with this amazing skin that, you know, Arnold had concepted and all the cool art that Arnold did. We just thought it would be a fun, like, you know, Happy New Year. We know it's not the biggest thing, but
I mean,
it's a fun,
better than nothing. So
better than nothing. That's what we're shooting for.
Yes. I mean, honestly, like I think that's and I'm okay to talk about just about anything, right? That's one of the biggest problems people have is they feel like things are like slower or slow. Yeah. So I feel like more things is going to be a little bit better, but I mean that's just my opinion, of course. But I know a lot of people like. How do you feel about ranked nowadays?
We're not super happy with competitive play. I think it's in a good stable point. It's one of the most played modes of Overwatch. Okay. The most people play quick play, but competitive play is played the most of Overwatch. If that makes sense from a statistics standpoint.
I get what you're saying.
As where they're spending their time. So competitive play is extremely important to our players. We think that there are some things that could be better about competitive play. We really don't like how black box skill rating is. Okay. Like there are reasons for why your skill rating goes up and down. That are very confusing, and we don't surface that to the player at all. Like all the player kind of knows is we won, my SR should go up, or we lost and my SR is going to go down. But they don't understand, like, why did my SR go up a lot or a little? None of that makes sense to people. And we think that there's a way that we can make people understand that better. The other thing about our competitive system right now is I think it's really good at assessing what your skill level is. Okay. Like, I don't hear a lot of people say, like, what's your SR?
We're about to find out. I think, that's me. I think 44-22.
So, like, I bet you most people who, like, watch your stream and are really intelligent about the game would go, like, yeah, he's, like, a 44-22 player. Like, he's earned that place. There's not a lot of people... Like, I don't think a lot of people doubt that our SRs are pretty accurate, that we're pretty good at saying, this is a gold player, this is a diamond player, this is a platinum player. So I think that's really good. I think one of the things that's a little bit disheartening about our competitive system is if we're good at assessing what your skill level is, which I think we are, there's not a lot of progression to it. Yeah. Like, if you're a grandmaster level player or a master level player or a diamond player, you're probably not going to go up or down dramatically unless there's some change in your lifestyle. Like, if you were to suddenly go down to, let's say you played Overwatch like 2 hours a month. Like right now you play more than 2 hours a month, but let's say you played 2 hours a month. It's likely that your SR would drop. Like you'd probably end up like in Masters or maybe Diamond, but not dramatically more than that. And just like your average, let's say, Platinum player, they're not going to magically get into Grandmaster just because they want to. Like they would need like a lifestyle change. Like, I got a coach, I do this 10 hours a day. Like, it becomes a full focus of mine to actually get to that level. And I don't know if that's rewarding or what players' expectations are. I think most players are like, oh, I'm Platinum now, and if I just really want it, I should be Grandmaster. And it's like, it doesn't really work that way, unfortunately. So I think that's kind of a bummer. I think one of the biggest challenges with Overwatch, period, and I think this is just magnified in competitive play, where people want to win more than they normally want to win in quick play. Like a lot of times in quick play, I just want to play Widowmaker, good luck team, I'm playing Widowmaker, GG. But I think in competitive play, more often than not, people want to win. And Overwatch is a team game. It was designed from the ground up to be a team game. What makes Overwatch magical, I think all the great stories we have, the great moments, is that we had these like amazing moments with teammates where like, oh my god, we all came together and you used your ult at the right time and I went in and I did the thing and then we won the match. And like the whole design of Overwatch, if you look at the user interface, like the end of round flow, the intro to the match, is all designed around team composition, winning or losing as a team. There's some drawbacks to that. And it puts a pressure on the player base that I think is unfair a lot of the time. Because most people are just queuing in solo. And then there's this immediate race to like, well, I want to play McCree. And then, somebody else says, well, I don't think we should really have a McCree. Actually, we need you to play Lucio. And you're like, well, I paid $40 for the game. I should get to play McCree if I want to.
You hear that one all the time.
Yeah. And if you think about like the promise of Overwatch and the vision of Overwatch, like how we like designed the game and how we thought about the game, it's here are these 29 amazingly unique characters who have awesome personalities and all these great different varying play styles. Like you can like think of Mei versus a Widowmaker versus a Winston, like how different they all play. That's the fantasy. And then the reality for most of us when we play Overwatch is that either through our own knowledge or because of social pressure or abuse from other players on our team,
that exists,
we get pressured down into this very small roster of viable characters, like whether it's self-imposed or somebody else is imposing on me. Like, for example, for me, I pretty much, like, I play all the characters, but in comp, I will pretty much only play 3 different tanks. Usually I play Reinhardt, Diva, or Winston. That's usually what I'm playing. Or if we don't have enough support, I'll play Ana. And so even though I love all 29 heroes and I want to play all 29 heroes, and some nights I just want to play Junkrat, if I'm in comp, I kind of either get pressured by myself or my teammates that I've got this hero roster of 4 people. I think that's a problem we need to solve. I think we need to deliver on the promise of Overwatch more, which is, hey, sometimes you want to play like these really fun different heroes, and we need to kind of create an environment where that's okay for you and where you don't get quite as abused either by yourself or by your teammates.
So what you're saying is that when it comes to ranked, you're recognizing there's a major problem with all of these issues, and that you definitely, or not definitely, but you want to basically make that not be an issue.
And I mean, with game design, you can't solve every problem.
Yeah, of course.
And game design is a craft that is centered around trade-offs. Like, I think a lot of players think, game design is about like you have a problem and then you do this thing and it fixes the problem, and then everybody's happy. And the truth of the matter is you have to think of like what's the vision of the game and what is the decision that's going to be closest to the vision of the game and be the best for the most players, and not necessarily like there's just this silver bullet answer. Like I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Like here's a silver bullet answer that fixes from a game design standpoint the problem I just mentioned, is that competitive play should be groups only. Use the LFG system, go as a 6-man team, and play in competitive play.
Yeah.
And then if you want to lock the roles, if you want to say, I don't want anybody to play Torbjorn, if you want to say it's mandatory that this healer plays Mercy and this one plays Brigitte, you can make up all those rules and you're responsible for the experience. You chose those players.
Yeah.
But clearly, like, that's not a good solution. Like the trade-off to that is not all players are comfortable playing in a group.
Exactly.
Not all players want to play in a group. It would be very off-putting to people. So while that solution solves one big game design problem, it creates a bunch of other ones. So that's always the trick to game design, is picking the identifying the problem, deciding if it's a problem we should solve or not, and then picking a solution to the problem that doesn't cause just more problems in a different direction.
Okay. So, and once again, you know, if you want me to, I feel like the competitive part of thing is like it hasn't been addressed enough. So when I'm asking these questions, it's just I feel like it's finally a good time to be like, okay, listen, here's the issues, and that's why I asked the base. So if you haven't noticed, I've been asking very simple questions because I feel like when you give those long answers, we actually have a question and then a good answer to it, rather than just like vague like responses that people always accuse everybody of doing on the forums and stuff. So, now have you looked into things like separate queues and stuff like that, where you have like a group queue, then you have like your own solo or duo queue ladder, stuff like that? Have you looked into different styles of that, or do you believe that?
We've definitely, I mean, we've done a lot of research on other games. The cool part about being at Blizzard is we have other games that we can look at. Heroes of the Storm has experimented with different queues. Okay. Obviously we look at all the other competitive games out there who are doing different things with the queues, like League of Legends and Dota and all those sorts of things. When it comes to different queue types, I always just ask, what's the problem we're trying to solve? Like, and getting down to like when people say, well, there should be a solo queue for sure, like that should just exist. I always ask why. Like, what is the problem we're trying to solve? We look at the statistics and we see how much solo players are put up against groups. We do a lot of studies of like, this team had a group of 4 and this team had a group of 4, and there were 2 solo players in that mix. And the game is incredibly well balanced when it comes to group sizes. And it's incredibly aggressive. Anybody who knows who's tried to play as a 6-stack knows how aggressive the game is about putting 6 stacks against 6 stacks. So I don't think there's a huge problem that really needs to be solved. I don't think there would be a dramatically better version of Overwatch if we suddenly went to a solo queue only system. I think what that would do if we introduce solo queue is it would kill all grouping.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Now, I have another question about this type of stuff. So, okay, you talked about, you mentioned like, hey, sometimes I want to log on and just play Junkrat, right? And sometimes I want to play they make you play Lucio, stuff like that. Now, that goes to the role queue question that people always want. Now, there's also something you can add to that role queue. In theory, now this is just something I've heard of that you can do. Couldn't you, in theory, open that per role, like decide like, okay, like you're going to have 3 separate queues. Like you have your DPS, you have your tank, you have your other thing. And then you have different SRs based off of those roles. So that way you can go into a game with role queue, but then play that certain role you want to play, and then not feel like you're I'm like a 2K. If I'm on Widow, I'm 2K.
I'm a believer in what you just said. For the record, not everybody is. I think there are many strengths to a design like that as there are drawbacks. I think you give up some of what you have now, but you gain a lot. You're actually one of the first people I've heard who have identified the thing that probably excites the development team the most about role queue. Like, I always see these mythical role queue designs that really are ones that we wouldn't pursue, that involve, 6 different queues, and we're going to report people who don't do what they want to do, and it's a soft thing. And I'm like, man, I don't believe in any of that. But like the way you pitched it, I think is really solid. And you hit on something that I think is one of the strongest things in favor of pursuing a role queue system, which is players do have a different MMR, based on tank damage and healing. And, there's a case like we try to get the matchmaking. I feel very confident in the matchmaking. What we're not always confident in is what player behavior is going to be. And sometimes we have a case where, let's say you're the world's best Widowmaker player and you play Widowmaker all the time.
Okay.
And you've literally never played Reinhardt before. Right now we have a single MMR for you. And we match you on that. And then as soon as you switch to Reinhardt, which you've never played before, we're off on our estimation. And everybody in that match is going to have a horrible experience because of it. And I think if we could be more intelligent about knowing what player intention is, saying, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to play these heroes, and we go, oh, those are the heroes you're going to play? We actually have a better understanding of you on those heroes than those other heroes. The other benefit to a system like that excites me is a lot of times we have the reluctant tank or the reluctant healer, or even the non, like shoot, I'll feel like I said, if my competitive team needs me to play Ana, I usually play tanks, but I will play Ana, and I'll be happy to do that. I don't know if I'm any good at Ana. Like, I'd love the world where my tanks, my damage, and my healers all want to be playing tank damage. Like, the guy playing Hanzo right now really wanted to play damage, and I know that he's the proper skill level. Like, he's not a Mercy main. He's actually at the same skill level that my Diva's at, that Hanzo's at. Like, I think that's a huge benefit. So I think it's something to be considered. I think there's a lot of value. It's also shocking, though. I remind players, like, in hindsight, I think everybody can say, well, remember No Limits Overwatch? And I think we all know that Overwatch is better now. People did not receive No Limits Overwatch well. It was a very shocking change to the system, and people argued it was going to ruin what made Overwatch. And I was sympathetic towards those people. I didn't, shake my head and go, well, you guys don't know anything about the game. It was more like, yes, it's a trade-off. Like, we're losing something that we had. So I think it's important.
I think, like, because
Molly's signaling me. Oh, okay. It's okay.
Okay, so you're good.
Do you want? Okay, I'll say hi to Fran too. I think she wants to make sure I say hi to
Okay, that's
Fran
fine.
too.
No worries. So just to, like, summarize and finish up on that, and then you can. Fran can have on that and everything.
I ain't said hi to Fran yet.
She was playing in ranked anyway.
Nice.
So for example, like when I play Reinhardt, I give people like a terms of service that when you let me play Reinhardt, you're in for a treat, right? That's why like the idea of having that type of concept makes sense. And honestly, like at this point in the game stage, and maybe I'm wrong to say this, but like a shakeup like that is probably not the worst idea either, because it adds excitement. It allows, even like as a streamer, like I could be like, hey, I'm playing DPS today, and then you can have 3 different roles where you're like, hey, I'm a diamond DPS, I'm a top 500 tank, and I'm a bronze support, and when I'm on support, it's bad. So, like, my point is like, I think that'd be a really cool idea. Whether or not you guys are working on it, obviously, never saying. Like,
there could be some fun things, too. Like, you're mentioning, wow, working on three different ranks could actually be kind of cool. Like, where do I know exactly where I land as a tank in our system, because I play tanks. If I got to play DPS, where would I land? And that's exciting.
I'd be so bad at DPS. So, but yeah, that's cool. And people probably wanted me to talk about balance and heroes and all that, but it becomes such an emotional subject across the board. So I'm going to leave that one be. Maybe Fran will.
It's easy too. The game is balanced.
Yeah.
It's a short conversation.
The game's balanced. Oh yeah,
it's
I'm sure.
Perfect.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you for answering. I know it's going to be difficult sometimes to answer questions like that, because no matter what, someone's going to not like what you say. It's going to become backlash. And as you know, the most vocal people are the people who disagree, not the people who agree. So
It's all good. My whole life is people disagreeing with things
all right,
that I
perfect.
say. So, yeah.
But yeah, thank you for that whole discussion on competitive, because I think that's been kind of untouched for a long time, and it's been very, I'm not going to say vague answers, it's just been very like, yeah, we know there's a problem, people are mean, or people are, or you know, it's bad in this, but going in depth about it's really important. I'm glad we got to touch on that.
Yeah,
so thank you.
Absolutely. It's fun hanging. I was stoked because I knew you guys were streaming today, but I didn't know you were here, so I was like, I told Molly, like, let's go say hi.
Well, that's awesome. Really good to see you again. For it's been awesome.
Awesome to have you here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say
go ahead. Go say hi to Fran.
And wreck her SR if she's playing comp right now. So
sure, SR. You're good.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll see you guys later.
Right, thank you.
Bye, chat.